Hello, and thanks for joining us for this ActualTech Media Spotlight Series segment. I'm James Green, partner and VP for content at ActualTech Media, and I'm excited to host for you today a discussion about storage with our guest from StorPool Storage. So Boyan, before we get started, would you introduce yourself quickly and tell us just a little bit about StorPool, and then we'll get going.
Sure. So my name is Boyan. I'm one of the founders and chief executive at StorPool. StorPool is a company that we started in the very end of 2011 with the idea of replacing million-dollar storage boxes with software running on commodity hardware. And when we started, that was before the buzzwords like software-defined storage or software-defined data center existed. So we're kind of like not the very new kids on the block. And for the last about 9 years, we've been focusing on block storage for demanding workloads at scale. So we're kind of helping companies that build public or private clouds to have a very fast, robust data management platform.
So that's the first thing I was going to ask about actually is who is this for, or what sorts of use cases is this for? I've got the impression that it's cloud builders and big, very, I think as you call it, new age type of application deployments.
Correct. We focus on companies that really need to have scale or have fair amount of complexity of their IT infrastructure. Let's say they have 10 locations across the globe, different data centers with different requirements or different setup. They need to have typically primary or tier one data. We focus mostly on flash, be it SATA or NVMe type of storage systems for workloads that are running typically databases, could be VDI, virtualized environments at scale, this type of applications. And new age thing we refer to is kind of like what's also called like cloud native. It's all API driven. It's all automated, self-service, scalable on demand. So this is the type of companies that typically come to us, and they typically have 100 terabytes or more of flash data.
So I've come to understand that the solution really has two parts. One is the storage itself, the system and the architecture, and the second part is the fact that it's fully managed and the services you provide to go along with it. So let's take those things in two parts. Let's start with the storage first. I see you over your shoulder there, starting from 1 million IOPS. Obviously, it is high performing, very scalable. So tell us a little bit about that and how you make that happen.
Sure. So when we started in 2011, we thought there are some existing what we call now SDS 1.0 solutions. So there were storage software that were basically considered inferior to a proper SAN array. And we set out to build a storage solution that is going to be built from the ground up so it can actually replace $1 million sandbox or an all-flash array. It should be extremely lightweight, extremely robust, very fast, online scalable, seamlessly, so it's scale out, not scale up. All these things that you would expect and are now considered the best in class in SDS. So this is what we set out to build, unlike some other guys that took open source projects and tried to duct them together, type them together with some existing bits and pieces. So we kind of did a lot of sleepless nights to have a solution that's built from the ground up. So that's around the architecture bit.
And then let's
And
talk about the services piece. So the other thing you offer is, the way I put it when we were talking earlier, is to basically make my storage problems go away. When I deploy StorPool storage, I am essentially enlisting StorPool to help manage, maintain, and otherwise keep my storage platform running, besides just providing the systems. Tell us a little bit about that.
Correct. Well, storage has been historically one of the most problematic pieces of the IT infrastructure stack, together with networking. And since now it's software defined, it's heavily reliant on network. So we do a lot of magical stuff in the network. And in the end of the day, the users of StorPool are companies that are having considerable scale. So they need somebody with best-in-class solution, but also with deep storage expertise, so they can make these kind of storage issues just disappear. And they want to focus on their core business, and that's kind of one of the unique, things that StorPool delivers. That our team helps with the design of the system, the implementation, troubleshooting, upgrades, proactive monitoring, issue resolution, whatnot. We have very detailed monitoring and statistics of every cluster in production. So if something starts to go out of bound, we'll get an alert. We'll start proactively resolving issues before they actually escalate. So I think that's the peace of mind. A customer calls it the sleepability factor. He said, before StorPool, I was waking up at 2 a.m. having nightmares that my systems were down because I had so many storage issues. After StorPool, I just sleep well. I think that's kind of, on a very high level, the value that you will actually derive.
Yeah, and that's a approach that I'm a big advocate for, which is focus on what your business does to create value for your customers, and see if you can offload the things that don't create value, like managing storage, to a partner who can help if that's feasible for you. I mean, for a lot of businesses, IT is a means to an end, right? It's not the business, it's something that they need to do the business. And as you mentioned, storage has been particularly challenging for a long time. So I'm a big fan of the idea that we could sort of pass off our storage problems on the experts at StorPool, and have my team, who may have been required to be storage experts before, focus on things that actually create value for my business. So um, if people are watching and they want to dig in, learn a little bit more about the solution and how they can engage with you, what would you recommend?
They can go to storpool.com and see some of the content that we have there. They can also search for StorPool. We have fairly detailed, deeply technical content on the Storage Field Day series of events. And they can also shoot us an email at info@storpool.com, and we'll be happy to kind of chat with them and work with them to see if we can help. We basically we don't have this sales manner that we try to sell something to people. We'll have a chat, and if we together with the customer decide we're a good fit, then we can take the discussion further.
Very good. Well, Boyan, thanks for joining us on this Spotlight Series segment. It's been a pleasure to learn about StorPool. It was very interesting to me, and I imagine the audience feels the same. So again, thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me.